I used to think business was just about making a living. Now I know that the best living is made by making a difference. You see, kingdom stewardship in the marketplace, it has a way of turning ordinary balance sheets into eternal stories. So let me share just a little bit of my story and really the story of our company and how we've come to see the powerful role that business and the marketplace play in God's global mission in the world. I grew up in the 70s and 80s in a church that was absolutely obsessed with world missions. I like to say we slow baked in the Great Commission. The flags of the nations were all over the church grounds. There was a giant globe fountain in the lobby. The pictures of the 300 missionaries we supported were all over the walls. We had missionaries in our services every Sunday. We had missions conventions, international food fairs. Missions was not a program at our church. It was the reason we existed. So like it or not, global missions has always been in my DNA. On top of that, my dad was a preacher's kid, which makes me a pastor's grandkid. My grandfather, he pastored little churches in small towns across New York and New Jersey. This was back in the 1950s. And my dad, he remembers having to give up his bedroom and sleep on the couch so that traveling missionaries, itinerating missionaries would have a place to stay as they were going around fundraising from churches. You see, my dad, he loved Jesus, but unlike his dad, he didn't feel called to be a pastor. So he went off to college to study business. And somewhere in all those years, he had a dream that one day he would have $1 million in the bank. That's a lot of money now. But it was even more back in the late 1960s. So my dad, he got his accounting degree, his CPA license. He worked as a healthcare auditor, and then he partnered with some others to buy a portfolio of nursing homes. He had some early entrepreneurial success. He even owned a steak restaurant when I was in high school, which was pretty awesome. But in 1992, everything shifted. Tim Shrout was a friend from our same missions-obsessed church. Tim was a second-generation real estate developer and apartment owner, and he actually approached my dad with an idea that he had been researching and working on for some time. And back in the early 90s, there was a federal grant program that was incentivizing nonprofits to buy apartment complexes from the original developers. So Tim's initial vision was that we would build a nonprofit real estate company, that we would use this grant program to capitalize the acquisition of affordable apartment complexes across the state of Indiana. We would then start a management company, and then we'd give all the profits, all the business profits, we would give away to global missions work through our missions-obsessed church. And my dad, he loved this idea so much that he kind of gave up pursuing his own business ventures. And he's given the last 30 years of his career to building this organization. That nonprofit real estate company became Community Reinvestment Foundation, or as we call it around here, CRF. The early years of CRF were anything but glamorous. They initially had 19 properties under contract. They closed the first one, and then the government canceled the grant program. So for the first 5 years, CRF was one property in northern Indiana. And my dad, he worked out of a borrowed office at our church. It happened to be the same office they used to count the offering every Monday, so he wasn't allowed to go to the office on Monday mornings. He had no real salary. He used a line of credit on my childhood home that I'm pretty sure my mom never knew about. Those were the glorious beginnings of CRF. But slowly, through faith, a lot of grit, and some creativity, CRF began to grow. And over time, CRF grew to about 2,500 units of apartments, and we employed around 85 people and provided housing and assisted living services for between 5,000 and 6,000 people every single day across the state of Indiana. We're really proud of what CRF has become, but from the beginning, it was never just about real estate. It was always about the Great Commission. You see, that vision, it eventually spilled over into the launch of our own missions organization that we call the Stone Table. CRF is the business engine, and then the Stone Table is the missions engine. And together we seek to move the needle on the Great Commission all over the world through business in the marketplace. Our first missions gift in 1997 was $85,000, which we thought was amazing. But I'll tell you, by God's grace, that number has grown into the tens of millions of dollars over the last 30 years. And when we combine those resources with local churches and other business partners, the impact has multiplied even further. You see, I believe with all my heart that the only reason this scrappy little affordable housing company grew into something far bigger than any of us ever imagined is because the founders kept the Great Commission at the center. And my commitment is to do the same in this next season. You see, my dad would hate me saying this, but he's my hero. And the entire team here over the last 30 years has invested their creativity, their experience, and their marketplace skills to build a kingdom asset that will pay dividends, I believe, into eternity. And to me, that makes my dad the richest man I know. You see, I tell him all the time, you've made that $1 million that you always dreamed of in college multiple times over. It just isn't in your bank account. So what does this mean for you as a business leader, an entrepreneur, or a marketplace professional? Let me leave you with 3 simple thoughts here today. The first one is this: if you belong to Jesus, the Great Commission belongs to you. You'll hear us say this a lot here at the Stone Table. You see, this calling, this Great Commission calling, it's not reserved for professional pastors and missionaries. It's for all of us. Right now, across the world, there are about 3.9 billion people, or 42% of the global population, that could be born, live, and die without ever hearing the name of Jesus. And that is not okay. Jesus said, "Go and make disciples of all nations" in Matthew 28. He was not speaking to a special few. He was speaking to all his followers, including those of us who work in the marketplace. Think of it like a football play at the goal line. The running back, he gets stood up just short of the goal line by the defense, but then one teammate after another joins the scrum and starts pushing from behind until the whole team crosses the goal line together. You see, to me, that's a great image of the Great Commission. We all push together. Pastors, missionaries, business and marketplace people. We need the whole team. Number 2, we love to say this around here as well. Marketplace skills are Great Commission skills. See, there is no sacred secular divide in God's economy. See, the marketplace is sacred space. The gospel doesn't just redeem people's souls, it redeems every part of this life, including business, including the work of our hands. You see, from the very beginning, business has been a vehicle for the gospel. In Acts 17, Paul preached in the synagogue and in the marketplace. And historians tell us that merchants were actually some of the earliest missionaries, traveling from city to trade and do business, and taking the good news of the gospel with them as they went. And see, the same is true today. Business is opening doors in communities where traditional missionaries can't go. We believe your business skills are kingdom skills right here in your own communities and also around the world. And then lastly, I'll leave you with this. It's not about brilliance, it's about obedience. So who did Jesus choose? He chose ordinary people, fishermen, tax collectors. He's not after brilliance, he's after obedience. You see, the success of CRF and the Stone Table, it wasn't about being the smartest people in the room, I promise. It was about obedience. Obedience to stay true to the mission. Obedience to keep giving away the profits as we originally designed. Obedience to keep going when it would have been a whole lot easier to walk away. You see, your obedience plus God's faithfulness equals infinite kingdom possibility. So here's my challenge to you today. Posture your heart with a simple yes. Yes, Lord, what are you asking me to do? Yes, Lord, how can I use my business ability, my entrepreneurial acumen, my marketplace skills to do something that glorifies your name in all of the earth? Yes, how can I invest in what matters forever? See, there's this incredible kingdom creativity on the other side of this video screen. I know it. The question is today, what will you say yes to?